What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and in today's episode, I'm going to be giving y'all my mid-season awards. Before we get started, though, I do want to remind you guys to make sure you're hitting that like button for me, and also make sure if you're new, you subscribe. We've been getting like 10K views on the first day of new video releases, so if we can match that 10K with around 1,000 to 2,000 likes, I think this channel can see some major growth over the next few months. So I appreciate everybody for the love and the continued support. Lastly, I do want to say this. When it comes to awards, usually there's multiple deserving candidates. So I want to see y'all get in the comments and tell me what are y'all midseason awards for every single award. Don't just drop in the comments talking about, man, I can't believe you picked him over him, or how could you pick him? Instead of doing that, just tell me y'all awards and who y'all have, and let's actually have some good basketball dialogue and discussions. I'm going to be very, very active in these comments because I want to see y'all opinions of how they match up with mine. But without further ado, let's dive into these awards. So I'll be honest, I have no real structure of which way I want to deliver these awards, but I think the best and most exciting way would be to do the most obvious to the least obvious. So with that being said, we'll start with the Rookie of the Year award, which I think Paolo Banchero has wrapped up already midway through the season. I will say it was fun in the beginning of the season when we had Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey, Benedict Mathurin giving Paolo a little bit of competition, but up to this point, it's all of Paolo's award, basically. 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, getting to the free throw line 8 times a game as a rookie. Very, very immaculate play from Paolo there. Besides the numbers, though, I think Paolo has allowed the Magic to elevate as one of the brightest futures in all of the NBA. Him, Franz Wagner, Wendell in that front court, the emergence of Bol Bol. They have a loaded front court. They still have Mo Bamba, but with the recent trade talks we've seen that Mo Bamba is a little bit more expandable now. You still have Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz, RJ Hampton, Jonathan Isaac is coming back, Cole Anthony. They have a lot there in Orlando, and I think they're positioning themselves very, very well because of Paolo's emergence as this top tier rookie. They still have their own pick of this year, which looks like it'll be another lottery pick. And they also have the Bulls pick, which again could be another lottery pick as well. So you might have 2 lottery picks in this upcoming draft. This draft class looks amazing, and they may be able to put the final pieces to this rebuild before they start competing in the next few years. Paolo, though, amazing. I love the production that we're getting from him. I think that's one of the reasons I gravitated to him being the #1 pick for them. There was chatter around Chet. The Magic really loved Jabari. I was always a guy that said, hey, Paolo is there. Go get him. You know what you're getting. A bona fide scorer who's going to develop into being your #1 option. As much as I love Franz, and I love Franz throughout the entire draft process, really wanted him to fall to the Kings because I felt that was super perfect. He's played even better than I expected with the Magic, but I still didn't look at him as a clear-cut #1 option. We get that from Paolo. So now Franz is like a #2. He's going to complement and solidify Paolo. That 1-2 punch is going to be really, really well. Wendell Carter, and the rest is history. Paolo, he's been doing a good job, like I said, driving the basketball, getting to the free throw line. There's still some things to grow with him. I want to see that three-point shot get better. Want to see him be a more impactful isolation player. That's just him being a rookie. I think that'll grow there. And again, the defensive side of the basketball for everybody on Orlando Magic still has room to grow. But if Paolo can turn the driving skills, because he's a great finisher already, great job getting to the rim and getting to the free throw line, like I said. If he can learn to parlay his driving ability to dishing to his open teammates or creating open looks for his teammates, I think Paolo can be a 5 to 6 assists a night type of player. With his 21-point production already, which I think will grow into 23, 25 points per night, already a solid rebounder. He can continue to grow there. The assists and his playmaking skill set that I think has been underrated from college to the NBA already could continue to take some steps there. And the isolation and the scoring is going to come. The three-point shot from high school to college to now to pros has always been the difference maker for Paolo. And if he ever gets that above average, he'll be one of the most dynamic scorers in the NBA. And then on the defensive side of the basketball, like I said, that's a culture thing. That's a team that's being young. Hopefully they'll continue to grow and take major strides as a team defensively. But already we've seen Jamal Mosley is giving Paolo a lot of responsibility there. If you look at the defensive matchup, Paolo is getting one of the toughest assignments from each team each night. He's in the 72 percentile there as far as his matchup difficulty, which means he's taking either the #1 assignment or #2. He's playing against the Celtics. He's either going to guard Tatum or Brown. He's not just going to run around, guarding Marcus Smart or any easy way out. So I like to see that, and I think going forward, Paolo is going to give the Magic something that they can build around significantly, and they have as bright of a future as any other team in the NBA. The next award we have is the Coach of the Year award. There's a lot of teams playing good basketball, a lot of coaches coaching at a high level. You got Joe Mazzulla in his first year, got the Celtics #1 team in the NBA, hasn't missed a beat. Mike Malone and the Nuggets are playing really, really good basketball. Mike Brown has Sacramento in the playoffs. You got Willie Green and the Pelicans. But ultimately, I have to give this award to Jacque Vaughn from the Brooklyn Nets. When you look at everything the Brooklyn Nets have gone through, from the playoffs last year, getting swept by the Boston Celtics, this offseason, not knowing what was going to happen with Kyrie and his extension, if they were going to bring him back or trade him, yada, yada, yada. So Kevin Durant requesting a trade, not really knowing the temperature on Ben Simmons and what was going to happen with him. And then we start the season 2-5. Kyrie Irving situation happens. Ben Simmons still doesn't have a rhythm. We're trying to figure out if Kevin Durant is going to request a trade again. And it's looking like, man, Kevin Durant was right. Kevin Durant was right. Then out of nowhere, Steve Nash is gone. You bring in Jacque Vaughn, who, again, wasn't the first option. They had Ime on their radar, but that fell apart, and they had to go with Jacque Vaughn, who was long overdue for this Brooklyn Nets job, if we're being honest. And quickly, he turned his team around. They've been 25-9 since he's got the job. They're one of the best teams in the East, and they went from having this messy situation to being a team that's a legit contender. And now we may see a situation where it goes from Kevin Durant requesting a trade to maybe compete in the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals for a title, which would be the craziest turnaround I think we've seen in a very long time. Defensively, though, he's got this team organized. They're competing their ass off on the defensive end of the basketball. I think one of the things that happened for the Brooklyn Nets was the Kyrie Irving situation. A lot of players were able to step up, find roles, find confidence, and Kevin Durant was able to grow as a leader in that situation. And we've seen a lot of those players be empowered. And now that they're fully healthy, or was fully healthy before Kevin Durant went down, we saw a lot of those players be really, really key contributors off the bench and give them a lot of added depth. Nicholas Claxton has emerged and has played his best basketball under Jacque Vaughn. Yuta Watanabe. You got T.J. Warren emerging now. Seth Curry and Joe Harris is coming alive. Ben Simmons is figuring out his role. Still got to get a little better offensively and get more aggressive, but he's looking more comfortable, and they're rocking and they're rolling. And again, this team is a major threat, and they have assets and pieces to potentially go out and make a deadline move that can make them even stronger and better and prepare for the playoffs. So that turnaround, for me, makes Jacque Vaughn the Coach of the Year, without a doubt. Like I said, a lot of coaches coaching a lot of high-level basketball, a lot of teams playing really great, but I don't think any coach has went through what Jacque Vaughn and the Nets have gone through and have turned around that season that fast and now is legit contenders. The next award is Defensive Player of the Year. I think this is a runaway award, kind of like Rookie of the Year, and it's Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have the #1 defense in the league right now. Prior to Jaren Jackson's return, they were not the #1 defense, far from it, to be honest. This defense looks entirely different with Jaren Jackson on the court. 3.2 blocks per game. He's got a career high in rebounding. That's always been something that we talked about with Jaren Jackson. Only 6.5, but that's a major uptick from what we're used to seeing from him. And again, just what he brings to them defensively makes them a legitimate team that can come out and represent the Western Conference in the playoffs or in the finals. I think with Ja Morant being the offensive talent and juggernaut that he is, them having Jaren Jackson be that same thing on the defensive end allows this team to be really complete. And Jaren Jackson is only 23 years old. This is a young team, and he's giving them a lot of crazy rim protection. You look at the advanced stats, and any rim protection number, Jaren Jackson is in the 98 to 99 percentile in every category. The guy is doing everything he can to protect the rim for the Grizzlies, and that puts them in a position to be able to compete at a high level. The Grizzlies have quietly been one of the top teams out west, and they're not far from a team that, again, could be in the NBA Finals competing for a championship. Again, with Ja Morant doing everything that he does on a night-in-night basis, as far as on the offensive end, and Jaren Jackson protecting the can, with Desmond Bane's emergence, Tyus Jones off the bench, Dylan Brooks has been having a quiet, underrated type year, Steven Adams. They have some things going on out there, and I think Jaren Jackson is a big piece of that. We saw they were still a very good team without him. But on the defensive side of the basketball, they were nowhere near the team that they are now. And for me, that makes Jaren Jackson easily the Defensive Player of the Year. The next award is an award that has many candidates, like a lot of other awards, but ultimately for me, the Sixth Man of the Year award belongs to Malcolm Brogdon. I'll say, as soon as I saw the Celtics acquire Malcolm Brogdon from the Pacers, I was like, there's no way. There's no way we are sitting here and allowing Malcolm Brogdon to join the Celtics as a bench piece. This is a guy who's been a phenomenal basketball player for the last few years. He's been really good with the Bucks. He took strides with the Pacers as a playmaker and a starting point guard. And I think the Celtics was like the perfect fit for him because now he can overachieve in a role and outproduce the role that he's put into. And that's exactly what he did this year. As a sixth man, this dude is really a starting caliber player. He could play on the ball, off the ball, good decision maker, great defender, 47% from the field, 44% from three, 88% from the free throw line, almost 50, 40, 90. The 13, 4, and 4 does not represent the proper production that he gives the Celtic team. And ultimately, if there was ever a time where he had to start for injuries or for whatever reason, he's a great option to have. And I think we're really going to see the value of Malcolm Brogdon when it comes playoff time. We just saw last night against the Brooklyn Nets down the stretch, Malcolm Brogdon gave them some very, very great basketball. There was no Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum wasn't having his best game. Peyton Pritchard and Malcolm Brogdon made some really big plays for them down the stretch to close that game out in Brooklyn. I truly think we're going to see some more moments like that in the playoffs, especially deep in the playoffs for Malcolm Brogdon. And if the Celtics win the championship, he's going to be a very, very big factor in that. Him and Derek White, two very good basketball players that I think complement this roster very, very well. And I think the Boston Celtics do not get enough credit for going out and getting a guy like Malcolm Brogdon. He is, for me, the sixth man of the year. He won't have the sexy numbers that a lot of six mans traditionally have, the scoring outbursts and the microwave type productions. But when you look at impact and what he offers on a night in night basis, he's had high scoring number games for them, like 25 points in a night. He's had 10 rebound games. He's had 8 assist games. He's had 2 steals, 2 blocks, games with no turnovers. Malcolm Brogdon is probably one of the best six mans you can ask for in all of basketball. He's the sixth man of the year for me. This next award is probably one of the most anticipated awards, probably my favorite award year in and year out, the most improved player. For me, I have to go Lauri Markkanen. I know a lot of people are rolling with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Shai is having an incredible year. But to me, Shai doesn't embody what the most improved player award is. The same thing like last year when Ja Morant won it. I wasn't a fan then. I wasn't a fan of everybody having Anthony Edwards as their favorite to win it. And I'm not a fan of Shai potentially winning it. We know what Shai is. We've known what he's been for the last few years. Yes, he's having an amazing season. He's growing into an all-star starting level player, maybe even an all-NBA player if the OKC Thunder were a lot better. But we knew that that's what Shai was. We did not know that this is what Lauri Markkanen is. He has plus 10 points to his scoring average, went from 14 points per game to 24 in a year. Probably is going to hit 25 at some point. He's having a career high in three-point percentage, field goal percentage, assists, free throws, 52% from the field, 41% from three, 87% from the free throw line, almost 50, 40, 90, 24 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. He's had big shot after big shot. The Jazz, we have to remember, they were a team that traded away Donovan and Rudy and were looked at to be a team that would tank easily for Victor. That hasn't been the case for them. They're still, ninth out west competing for a play-in or a playoff spot. And Lauri Markkanen is a big part of that. Now, as a team, a lot of those players that were thrown in these trades came in with chips on their shoulders and wanted to prove points or whatnot. But this season doesn't happen without Lauri. He went from a guy that was thrown into that trade to now being a guy that the Jazz are probably going to keep for their future. I truly believe a lot of us thought when they acquired Lauri that he would be another guy that they would flip around this part of the season. Like, oh, we'll get Lauri. We'll probably flip him around the deadline for more assets. No, this is a guy they're looking at to be a staple in this rebuild as they continue to add and add and add to this core. And Lauri Markkanen has had the type of career that I think these type of seasons have earned this award. When you look at Julius Randle type of guys that bounced back and had the most improved play, this is the same type of year. Up and down start to his career with the Chicago Bulls. Looked great early on, then it kind of fizzled out into what's going on. This is a guy that sat in unrestricted free agency, in restricted free agency without a team. The Bulls didn't offer him anything. The Cavs just was like, hey, we might as well try to get him. We don't have much else. He came and had a solid year for them, looked really well, and now he's exploded into an all-star. He, without a doubt, to me, embodies exactly what this award is about. It's about starting up or starting down, or at some point reaching a down moment where it don't look as good, don't look as sexy, not many buyers out there, and in a season, he flipped it around to where everybody has become buyers. Everybody's believers in him. And he's now a focal point in a franchise. To me, that is exactly what we want when we award somebody with the most improved player award, which is Lauri Markkanen. And now, last but not least, the most valuable player award. I have been torn about these two. I knew I was making this video since last night, and when I got into bed, my mind just played tennis. Go with this guy, go with that guy, go with this guy, go with that guy, go with Tatum, go with Jokic, go with Tatum, go with Jokic. I'm here to say, anybody who picks different than I did, I'll admit now, there is no wrong answer. I have no argument against either player, but ultimately I have to pick one, and I'm going Nikola Jokic. Jokic is just, to me, he's one of the most underrated MVP players we've ever seen. And as much as I love the season that Tatum is having out there with the Celtics, they're the best team in NBA. I get it, so I don't fault anybody for rocking with Tatum. What we've seen and what we're seeing from Jokic is just out of this world play. And I feel this way because when I see Giannis have these type of performances that Jokic has had, when I see Luka have these type of performances that Jokic has had, the world goes crazy. And a lot of people applaud and are happy and are amazed what Jokic does, but it's never at the same height or magnitude of Luka or Giannis. And I feel like people are hesitant to call Jokic the best player in the world. Jokic has had games where he's had 40-plus points, and they've needed every single point. He's had games where he's had 15 assists, 27 rebounds, 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists, triple doubles. He's had games where he's had 0 turnovers and 11 assists. He's had games with 4 blocks, 5 steals. Jokic has done every single thing you can do in a basketball game for the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are still at the top of the West. And yes, they've endured and came back from missing Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. But even with them coming back, they're still not all the way there at the level we last seen them at. And I think Jokic allows players to give their best version of themselves. And we've seen that from KCP. We're seeing that with Aaron Gordon, a guy that I think a lot of people thought will fall back down to earth now that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are back. That's not true at all. Christian Braun, as a rookie, has had moments. Bones Highland is playing very well. This team is where they are due solely to Jokic. He is, to me, the most valuable player in the NBA. And I think a lot of the same arguments that people create for Luka can be used for Jokic. This team is not nearly where they are if you take Jokic away from this team. The last 2 years, the success that the Nuggets have had, they don't have it without Jokic. If last year we take Jokic off of this team and we give Jamal Murray health and we give Michael Porter Jr. health, this team is not where they were last year at all. This year, if we take Jokic away from this team and Jamal Murray is fully healthy and he's the Jamal Murray of old, MPJ is who MPJ is, and you still have Bruce Brown, KCP, Aaron Gordon, whoever, this team is still not anywhere the team that they are now. Jokic, to me, is the MVP. I don't care about voters fatigue. I don't care about crowning a new MVP. Jokic deserves back-to-back-to-back because without him, this Nuggets team is not the same. I mean, the guy has given us, 25 points a game, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 60-something% from the field, triple-doubles. Like I said, 27 rebounds in the game, He's shooting threes, mid-ranges. His isolation impact is out of this world. There's not a pass he can't make. Yeah, he doesn't block shots like Rudy Gobert or other centers or anything like that, but he still defensively gets all the deflection, passing lane defense, steals. He in the pick and roll, he's really grown. He doesn't get enough credit there. This team is without a doubt where they are because of Nikola Jokic, and that's my argument for him. I can't formulate an argument against Tatum. I cannot do that at all. All I can do is, again, for like the third year in a row, generate an argument for Jokic. And at this point in the season, nobody, in my opinion, has been more valuable to their team than Nikola Jokic. That's my MVP. That's a wrap for my award picks. Like I said in the intro, I cannot wait to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Anything you disagree with or agree with, make sure you let it be known. I want to see every single pick you have for every single award, and please tell me why. I'm going to be looking out extremely hard, replying back to y'all as much as I can. Again, appreciate all the love that y'all show. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, please subscribe. Let's get these videos rocking and rolling so we can see some more growth. As always, this is NBA Weekly. I am your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and I will see you next time. I'm out. Peace.